I'm Corinne Schaefer, and welcome to Create Outside the Box. In this episode, I will be speaking with artist Nussara Cregan about her artistic journey from decorative arts to wall murals and how she enjoys creating art and atmospheres on a large scale for people to enjoy. If you're interested in watching our conversation, please visit the Creative Operations YouTube channel under the playlist Create Outside the Box. Nussara Cregan is a muralist and versatile artist. She graduated from Silpakorn University of Art in Thailand and started her career as an interior designer. She was fortunate enough to be part of a team designing hotels in Bangkok, Bali, and Singapore. She came to the US to continue her education in computer graphic art at the New York Institute of Technology. Upon graduation, she worked for an architectural company in Manhattan as an independent design and drafting contractor, specializing in detailed decorative art for landmark buildings. To pursue her passion for murals, she left the architecture firm and began Wondrous Walls 17 years ago. Since then, she's been busy creating personalized pieces for clients all over the Tri-State area and up and down the East Coast. Her work is not limited to any particular type. It covers a broad range of genres, from nurseries to restaurant murals, and from pencil sketches to realistic oil painting fine art. So hello, Nussara, and welcome to Create Outside the Box.
Hello, Corinne. It's so nice to see you. Thank you for having me today.
Thank you for joining me. Now, we met, I think a year and a half ago at a paint and sip at 3BR.
Yes.
That's where we first met. And then through Asia, I found out that Keyport has this artist community that meets for lunch on Fridays, which you're part of. So sometimes when you're not busy painting all of New Jersey, you stop by for lunch and we get to chit chat. So that's been great.
Yes. Oh, wow, I enjoy our lunch very much.
Yeah, it's really a great group of people. And I wanted to interview you because I want to learn more about you, more than we can get out of a conversation over lunch. And I know you're from Thailand. I wanted to know, what was your first introduction to art?
It was a long time ago since I could even remember. So this is the story that I heard from my parents. They said whenever I saw a pen, I grabbed it and started drawing. Looks like figure of people on whatever nearby. Could be walls, furnitures, and floor. It got so bad that they had to hide the pens from me.
Okay, so that answers my next question. It was kind of like, what medium was your medium? But it was the pen. And it sounds like you were, not to jump the gun and get into your work as a muralist, but it looks like even from a young age, before you could talk, you were already decorating walls in your home.
Yes. Yeah, my parents' ballpoint pens were my first medium.
Oh my gosh, that's great. Now, from this love of drawing, how did you then kind of shift gears a little bit and go to study decorative arts and design in college?
I wanted to be an architect.
Oh.
Yeah, but because I was weak at mathematics, so the next best thing for me was interior design.
And how does your background in interior design, does that still affect your art today with your own business?
Yes, because it helped me. It has helped me in many ways. I still using those decor for my clients' spaces, businesses, or homes, and I incorporate it into my design and the murals.
So for someone like me who doesn't really know a lot about interior design and decorative arts, can you explain a little bit about that for me?
I studied architectural structure, and I designed a space. Let's say you have an empty space and you want to have that space divided into rooms for living room, kitchen, and my role was to design that space functionally and with beauty, and that decor color scheme of pillows and artwork comes later.
Okay. So you're literally like the architects are the facade, and you're designing everything on the inside so that there's flow and
Yeah.
and that it makes sense, So like, for example, in a home, especially nowadays, you want your kitchen to be near whatever area people are coming and socializing so that they've got easy access to the food or that you as the hostess can interact. Whereas like if you see some older designs, from, the late 1800s, 1900s, the kitchens were always closed off, so they couldn't talk and interact with the guests as much. It was all separate. And so that's something that's changed so that your room has, your whole house has more flow. And then the colors too. So you have certain colors that are probably better in a living space versus maybe more soothing colors in the bedroom or bathroom, right?
Yes, yes.
Okay. So when you finished studying in Thailand, you then went on to New York. So you moved to the US and you studied at the New York Institute of Technology for Computer Graphic Arts.
Yeah.
That must have been like a huge shift. Like, what were like these major differences between Thailand and the US? And did you find there was a different approach towards art as well?
Yes, absolutely. Everything was totally different. Climates. I came from 90 degrees weather to 5 or 6 feet of snow here. And I remember my first time experiencing the cold. My legs couldn't stop shaking. And
Oh,
that was something that I experienced for the first time. Um, Food was different, language,
mhm.
but and the school. I found that the school system here is a little different back then. Anyway, now there might be some changes. In Thailand, back in my country, interior design was part of fine art. The first year as a freshman, we learned everything: drawings, paintings, art history, you name it, everything, all about art. Pretty much to become interior designer, you have to be able to draw or paint somehow. And the second year, we start to focus on the major
Hmm.
signing, but still we learn everything. Period of the design, Art Deco, Art Nouveau,
Mhm.
Louis the 14, and also we learn how to build furniture.
Oh, really?
Yes, one of the class called furniture design. We designed it, and we had to build the model out of our design to make sure that the furniture function properly.
Mhm.
Pretty much everything is that include in the room. We learn the nature of them. Yes, but when I came to America in New York to study, I noticed different. Yes, I wanted to learn computer graphic art, and the class focused right there, just computer graphic,
Mhm.
Adobe Illustration, Photoshop, Quark Express. I'm not sure if that program still exists though. Yes, and maybe one or two classes that I could take that not related to computer graphic, but the credit counted for fun or to give a break from the major. But mostly it seemed to be more direct.
Yeah, that's so funny because it sounds like you had a really well-rounded education in Thailand, which really challenged you to understand art in general and all the different facets of it. So then from coming from a design standpoint, you know where you fit in all of that, and you can use the fine art to create an atmosphere instead of on a canvas in a home, so it broadens your perspective. And that's frustrating then when you come to New York, which I'm sure you were thinking, oh, New York, this is the big time. And then you're like, but wait, why are they so small minded in their thinking towards towards this. Where's the rest of it? Why am I just on a computer all day? That must have been frustrating.
It was different. Yeah, it's fun and frustrating at the same time. That's why when there's a different classes that open for me to take, I
Yeah.
just grabbed it.
Yeah.
I took drawing class just to bring back my skill, and I even took an acting class one time.
Really?
Fun, yes, yes, it was fun, and the credit counted toward my graduation, and that's a plus.
Yeah. No, I think, I often have conversations with the guests on here that creative people, we're not just creative in like one thing. Creative people tend to be very curious. They want to try different things out. And it's not uncommon to find somebody who, is a visual artist, but also maybe plays music or likes to act, or, someone who sings, but also likes to dance. So I think that's just a common denominator with creative people, is that we are just curious and we want to try different things, and we don't want to be confined to just one little box, so to speak.
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So after school, you then got a job at an architectural firm where you were an independent contractor dealing with, you did some drafting, and then you also worked with the design. But I think you specialized in architectural design. Did you work with sometimes the buildings if they wanted to do like a specific period, say like Art Deco or Art Nouveau, to make sure that that was in line with the period? Like how did you work with them?
My company was specialized in landmark buildings preservation.
Wow.
Yes, it was wow, great experience. So I had a chance to work on the drawings to repair the missing pieces of facade building. Sometimes a motif just missing, and we had to draw it up to repair it. And I remember went through the microfiche file library to research for that particular part, and sometimes the design could not be found because it was so old, and I had to redesign it by using the whatever left
Mm.
on the building and redesign it with proper scale, send it to the department of the building in New York, have them approved before I can start send the blueprint to the other contractor.
That's cool, because that sounds like you're part artist, part history detective, and you're like literally trying to bring these things back to life. And then sometimes a clue is missing. And then you're like, okay, I need to figure out how, like, I don't know what this exactly was, but how can I make it as true to that? But you're also bringing yourself to it, in your own, vision as an artist. So that must have been very cool. How long did you work at that?
3 years.
3 years.
Yes.
Wow.
I enjoyed it very much.
Is that kind of that love of, creating in these decorative arts, is that kind of what led you to the love of murals? Or did that start when you were a little kid drawing in pen in your house? Was that just always there?
Mural wasn't coming to the picture, but growing up in Thailand, I often admire the murals in the temple,
Yeah.
and they were only being done in a temple or palace, and they were beautiful. But I thought nothing of it until I had an experience working for this architect company. I went to a lot of places, those old building, and they had murals that was done in the past, and
Wow.
it was absolutely beautiful. And I just thought of it like maybe this is what I want to do: become an artist that painted some of these painting on people's walls. And it was a dream. Thought of it, talked about it, and the love of my life. He told me to why just dream? Why just talk about it? Make it real. Do it. And with his support in every way, here I am, 17 years as a muralist.
Wow. That's a love story. I mean, it's it's
Uh,
it's one thing to, find someone who loves you and accepts you. It's another thing to find someone that also takes on and loves and supports your dreams to that extent where, he came in and was the extra added support and confidence for you to take this next step. And as you said, 17 years later, so it's been, a dream, but now it's a successful reality of what you get to do. So I guess that answers my question. What made you take that leap
yeah.
to start your own business was love. How moving and lovely is that?
Yes, I am very grateful.
That's a great story. Oh my gosh. Now, having the business for 17 years, and of course, you had a lot of roles when you were working for the architectural firm, but when you have your own business, you're balancing you as an artist, you as a business person with all different skills and duties. How do you balance all of those different skills to work in your own business?
So hard. I'm still working on it. Yeah, painting is it's fun. It's always the best part. But having to understand the client's needs and to work up to their expectation, uh, deadline, um, budget, of course, and everything. It's hard, and sometimes, of course, I cannot really meet up with the deadline. It happened, and
Yeah.
I'm trying to work on it.
So this was a question that I had because you do murals, you do large works, and there's the practical part of it. It's like, how am I going to do this artwork on this huge wall or this, huge part of the building or whatever it is? But there's also, as you said, there's timelines and budgets. Like, how do you plan all of that?
At first, when I get a project coming in, I would take a look at the area first and take measurements. Of course, there are always big walls, spaces. I took measurement and then I started work on sketches in a small scale. And at that step, I already had what in mind to picture of the step of painting and
Mhm.
trying to set goal. Okay, this is first step. We do this, we do that, and finally, how can I say? I put it together in the proposal
Mhm.
both to the actual finished painting would look like as possible.
Okay. So you first do your, the sketch, you write up a proposal. Now, it's one thing to draw something like that. Now, how do you deal with the scale? Because you've got something that's small, but then to do it large, is that hard to like do the scale so much larger? Like, do you divide up the wall or how do you figure out how to get the proportions?
The way I do it, when I do the sketch, let's say I would use the size of a quarter of an inch,
Mm-hmm.
that I will make it okay. This is 1 foot, is a quarter of an inch that I would do. So when I do enlarge, I use that small scale,
Mm-hmm.
make it the actual size to render it at the actual space. Some people use projector, some people use grids, but I'm perfectly happy with this architectural scale and the measurement tapes.
Mm-hmm. Because
My
that's the background.
Yeah, and my quarter inches sketch, 1 foot, it will be 1 foot on the wall.
Okay. No, that makes perfect sense. What's interesting, having seen some of your work, is it's very varied. I mean, you've got everything from a very realistic marble wall finish to a mural of a beautiful garden that there's that one that you showed us with all the little ladybugs where it actually looks like you could pick the little ladybug off the plant and like have it sit on your finger. They're so alive. And if I could say that there's a common denominator in your work, I would think it's the attention to detail. that you have, because it really feels like you're walking into a different world or a different atmosphere. Is that your goal when you're creating this art, to create a new world for those who get to enjoy it?
Yes, yeah, that's my goal, and I'm obsessed with details. So whatever I paint, any scenery, I always research and look at everything. So I put my heart into it.
You can see that you put your heart into it 100%.
One of my project was the Keyport map mural. I actually counted windows on each houses and the steps on the fire cave stairs on some of the buildings, and I count a spot in the parking lot by the waterfront.
Oh my gosh.
Accurate. It it just love. I just love doing it.
Oh my gosh. And now that mural is ongoing because you always kind of update and make changes to that mural, correct? The one in Keyport that shows the city of Keyport?
It's finally complete.
It's finally complete.
Yeah, but if there's any changes, hopefully they, if they want to change or update it, I I hope that they get me back to update that one.
I think they will. I think they will. How long does it normally take? I mean, the mural of the city of Keyport that's on Keyport, and that's on Broad Street, correct? So on Broad Street in Keyport, if you want to see that beautiful mural that shows all of Keyport, all of the different businesses and homes and the seafront, everything. But if you're doing, say, that garden mural that you did is it an assisted living center in Keyport? Is that where that is that we saw the garden mural?
Oh, yes, the senior living building.
Yes. So a mural like you did in the senior living building, how long does a project like that normally take you?
That one took me 30 days.
Wow.
Yeah, it's all done in hand painted, and the size is quite big.
No, it's absolutely beautiful. Like, again, like I said with the ladybugs, you feel like you can walk out into the gazebo and just be right on the water. It's such a beautiful, beautiful mural. So as you said, your murals are hand painted and you deal a lot with painting or pencil, pen, sketching. Do you still utilize any of your computer graphic skills when it comes to your job?
I use that skill to design my business card, my thank you note to my clients, and invoices.
Invoices. Very important. The artist needs to get paid. So you have this skill and you utilize it, you can utilize it as far as your branding and everything, but you prefer to work with your hands.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
I agree with that. I think there's a lot that is good about graphic design. And of course, it's become kind of a complicated topic because in some ways with different programs, like say Canva, for example, people can, like someone like me who doesn't have a graphic arts design can use a program like Canva so that I can, design things myself. It's a little bit, user friendly. And I do enjoy that because as you said, you can add your own personal touch to your projects or your businesses, but it's not the same as drawing or painting or getting your hands dirty with something. It's just not the same.
Not the same, but some people actually enjoying it that way. So
No, and I know there's a lot of artists who do a combination. So like Mary Ann McKay, who we both know, does a lot with the graphic arts because she'll take these photos and she'll restore them using Adobe or whatever programs that she does in Photoshop to restore them. And then once she's printed them, then she can, paint or add glass or metal or, so I know there's ways to combine it. And I think Mary Ann is a very good example of someone who melds both of those worlds together. Yeah.
yes, she was very talented. I saw her work.
Yeah. Yeah, we got a lot of talented people. Who are some of the artists who have inspired you that you looked up to when you were growing up?
Michelangelo and Norman Rockwell.
Okay, very different.
And, both painted murals at some point. I went to see Norman Rockwell original piece, Yankee Doodle. That what
Okay.
it, yeah, in the tap room at the Nassau's Inn. The work was actually beautiful, very detailed, just so amazing.
I didn't know that. That's in Nassau's Inn. Where is that?
In Princeton,
In Princeton. How do I not know this? And that's Norman Rockwell. Not,
original piece. Yeah.
oh my gosh. So, and so if you go to Nassau's Inn in Princeton, you can see this mural by Norman Rockwell. All right, I'm going to have to take a field trip. Wow, that's so cool. See, we forget that we have all this history around us as well. Now, Michelangelo, have you been to Rome?
That's a dream. I would love to see his original Sistine Chapel.
I haven't been either. It's on my bucket list too.
Yes.
Yeah, but that would be pretty amazing. I mean, yeah. But that is interesting that the two artists that you were drawn to as a kid also did murals. Very interesting. Do you have any, bucket list dreams of like projects that you'd like to do?
So many. But I would just pick the favorite one. One is I like to um, travel the world and do my murals. And another one, I always wanted to paint the scenic. I think they call it a scenic painting for the show.
Okay. Like a backdrop?
Probably, yeah, it's a backdrop. It's just one of those things that I would really like to have an opportunity to do it. It doesn't have to
Ooh,
be big. Something, it would
yeah,
be cool.
that would be really cool. Because yeah, I mean, that's really important, having been in shows where they use those
Yeah.
scenic backdrops. And then sometimes they'll have like the main one in the back, but sometimes they want it to be like multi-dimensional. So there'll be like another piece that comes forward to add the depth. So so for example, if you wanted something with columns, so you'd have like the background and then you'd have the other one that comes down with the columns. And oh, that would be fun. That would take you a long time though.
I think I would need crews to work with because
Yeah, because
that,
those are huge.
yeah, those are huge. And when I went to see the show, those are one of the things that I like to look at, the backdrop.
Now, say dream situation, we're talking bucket list here. Do you have like a favorite show that if they were to go, we're doing a new production of X, and you're like, all right, I'll do the backdrops. What show would you love to design for?
Oh wow, Romeo and Juliet.
Ooh, Romeo and Juliet. Now, would you do Verona and do very accurate Verona, or would you want to do an updated take?
That's interesting. I didn't even think of it, but I will research first to see what will fit me best
Mhm.
and take it from there.
Yeah. And I think people also don't realize, how much research goes into, creating art, that people don't just sit down and just draw something that, again, parallel to Marianne. Marianne did a lot of research with the children that worked in either the coal mines, or she's doing a new series with the silk mills. You're doing a lot of research on, okay, if I'm doing this building from this period, what's the history around it? Or if you're doing something in a town, maybe the history of the town, so you know what to include in the mural, right? So I love that it's like part artist, part detective, part historian. That must be fun.
That's the fun part. The most difficult and the fun before the actual painting.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. And when you're doing the research, so it takes you maybe a month to create the actual piece of art because it's a large scale project. But like when you add in the research, I mean, like how long altogether is between like the research, the proposal and the piece? I mean, you're talking, this takes a long time.
Yeah, I normally told my clients maybe 3 to 4 weeks. I
Mm-hmm.
would get back to them with a design.
Mm-hmm.
But some of the project were just simple that
Mm-hmm.
I could get back to them in like 3 or 4 days. Depends on the project, and I'm quite happy with the opportunities I have.
So I know, like, if you're in Keyport, you can see your work throughout Keyport. You're all throughout the tri-state area, East Coast, with people's homes, businesses. Again, outside the street on Broad Street's the Keyport mural. Like, where are some other places where people can find and see your work?
I did one in Boston.
Really?
Yes, it's a Fenway Park mural in the bar restaurant called Woody's Grill and Tap, which is not far from Fenway.
That's cool.
That back in 2014
Wow.
to private homes in Florida.
Mm-hmm. Do you have a favorite project that you've done?
Favorite project, new one always favorite.
Yeah, new one's always a favorite. Yeah, whatever one you're working on next is the one that's exciting. So if people want to contact you, either to maybe see if you can do something for them in their home or for their business, or if they just want to see some of your work, where would they find you?
My work right now, they're on Instagram mostly. Facebook page is a little behind, but I'm trying to catch up with the current one. I have the website that it's been like not up to date for almost 10 years, but I'm working with my web designer to get that back up and running again. And hopefully I will have that soon.
So the best place to find like the most current of like what project you're working on, you could always shoot you a DM, would be Instagram, and that's at Wondrous Walls, right?
Yes.
And I'll include all of that in the show notes with all the information. We'll just let people know, like, yes, Facebook and the website are coming, but if you really want to see the latest stuff, and you're always good, you're always posting fun stories and up-to-date pictures and what you're working on. So I'll include that. People will know to check out the Instagram first. Thank you so much for talking with me today. It was like really interesting. I learned this new side of you with this history detective that I didn't know. That's so cool. Oh, before I let you go, is there a building in New York or a historical building that you worked on that we should add to our trips?
A few of them are brownstone, which is a private residence.
Okay.
Review the address. One of the project was the restaurant called the Limerick.
The Limerick, I've heard of that. Okay.
I'm not sure if that project is still there. When I was working, they were still under approval,
Mm-hmm.
and I didn't finish it. I left first, but I remember it's at Limerick. Black Sheep.
Black Sheep. Okay.
I'm not sure where it is. It probably downtown Manhattan.
Yeah.
It was all over the place.
So basically, if you're walking around a city, whether it's Keyport, Boston, or New York, you might run into one of your works because you've helped to bring beauty to everybody's life, whether it's in their home or just walking around outside. And that is just a beautiful thing.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you for joining us for this episode of Create Outside the Box. Please subscribe, rate, and share our podcast. You can listen to Create Outside the Box on Spotify, Buzzsprout, Apple Podcasts, and iHeartRadio. Check us out on our Creative Operations YouTube channel, where you can subscribe to watch our interviews. You can find and follow Creative Operations on our Facebook page and on Instagram at @CO_Creative Operations. For more information about Creative Operations, please visit www.createoutsidethebox.com.
creative-operations.org.